I've always said this, like, if you stick to something perfectly for 2 weeks, the most optimal program, you'll make 2 weeks of 100% progress. But on the third week, if a spanner gets thrown in the works, you're not going to follow it. Versus if you stick to like a less optimal program for 12 weeks, you're going to see so much better results than if you just stuck to it for 2 weeks. And that can be diet, that can be training, that can be getting your steps, like all that kind of shit. 6,000 steps over 12 weeks is better than 10,000 steps for 2 weeks.
Oh shit, welcome back to the Lionstone Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Patrick. We're trying to change the seating around a little bit this week. I was in Matt's seat last week. I'll introduce him in 1 second. I just felt weird in that seat, so I'm back. Most of you listen to this on the audio anyway, so this is irrelevant information. But
if you are listening to it on the audio, you should change to the YouTube version just for one specific reason.
It's way better.
And it's pretty sick. Cheers. Cheers to fucking podcast.
I am joined by Matt Lamborne, the newest Lionstone member and coach. You've been on podcasts before. You've been on all that stuff. Everyone's seen you. They know who you are.
Yeah, I've been on the potty.
Did we do the Lionstone one together?
We did the Lionstone podcast. We also did another podcast, but it hasn't been released. It's too spicy.
Which one was that?
No, it was just business related. We talk about the stress. So maybe.
Oh, that's right. Reese isn't with us today. He's actually training for a marathon.
Yeah, he actually bought a goat and he's milking it. He's allocating his resources elsewhere. Yeah,
that's good. But in all seriousness, Reese is super flat out today. He did speak to me this morning about wanting to do a marathon, so he's actually in his first leg of training for that. Only a half marathon. He wants to build up to a full length marathon. What's that? 42 kilometers.
42 kilometers.
Yeah. So he's only doing the 21 kilometer one. But honestly, it's like,
that's really impressive.
It is
for him to do it.
Yeah. It's like
for anyone to do a marathon. That's
anyone
really
to do it, but even him, because it's like watching a penguin run down the street, mate. He's gonna listen
Penguins
to
don't run; they waddle. Fucking Phillip Island called races at the starting line.
He's gonna listen to this.
He's gonna be so happy with the result. I'm glad I'm training for the marathon, he says. Wow. How good.
All right, well, let's get into the thick of it. What are we talking about today?
We're talking... Oh, well, I thought we were talking about Reese waddling like a penguin. However,
we can do that for an hour.
No, I reckon we can talk about training and talk about what it was and what it is now for you and for me.
Yep.
Who we were before we trained and kind of why we got into it and what life looks like now post at least... How long have you been training?
Probably, what am I now? 24. So maybe I was probably
24 years.
24 came fresh out the womb.
The womb, straight into a leg press.
That's it. I probably maybe 8 years. I was like 4. No,
so close to a decade.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less. Maybe like 7 years. Probably. 7 years. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you honestly.
Yeah. Okay. So more than 5.
More than 5.
Yeah.
More than longer than I've been in the industry. Been in the industry 7.
Thankfully.
So maybe it's coming up close to 10 now. Yeah.
You didn't just walk out of high school and be like, you know what? Personal trainer. Never lifted a weight in my life.
That's the fuck thing is I walked out of high school and went straight into personal training.
Why?
Because I didn't finish it.
You didn't finish high school?
No, I dropped out at like 3 months before exams.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went straight into personal training?
Well, originally, I don't know if I've ever told this story, to be honest with you. So I started training when I first started, I reckon I was probably maybe 14. I was overweight. I was probably like 85 kilos at 14, and I'm 5'7". Fuck thing is, I weigh more than that now. So
yeah, but you built a lot of muscle.
Tell people that. That's all right.
You built a lot of muscle. No.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, big boned.
Bones don't jiggle, mum.
But I was 14 when I started. I started running on the treadmill. I probably lost maybe 5 or 6 kilos. And then as a Christmas gift, Mum got me a membership to Snap Fitness. And with that came 3 PT sessions, like the free ones you get, the Kickstarter stuff.
Yeah.
So I did those, and then I wanted to continue with that PT. So that PT, like I look back on it now, and the stuff I was doing was fucking garbage, but I didn't know any better. And the industry has changed since then.
What were you doing? Like, why was it garbage?
Look, comparatively to what I know now, it's garbage.
Yeah,
like it was shit. But for a 15-year-old probably wanting to train, maybe 16, like, did it really matter? No, I was getting the progress I wanted, and I lost the weight. And the guy, who's I haven't seen him in years, but he was a bit of a footy player and kind of just like, the typical personal trainer that back in the day just do this, train chest, shoulders, legs, back, arms, bro split kind of deal.
Yeah.
It worked. I dropped maybe another 10 kilos with him. And then I was like, cool, I want a personal train. So a few years go on. I go into
that shit experience was like, you know what? I want to dedicate my whole life to this.
I was like training twice a day. I was following my meals. I was taking my BCAAs, all that kind of stuff. I was fully into it. And then I
before or after workout,
I would drink some on the way to the gym because I would walk to the gym. I would have some during training, and then I would have a protein shake on the walk home.
No shit, you were full bro.
I was full bro. I was taking my Jack 3D because I had it in the vending machines there.
Holy shit, they sold crack in a vending machine.
Good.
Wait, which snap was this? Was this Point and Cook?
Yeah, Central East, the one down the road. Yeah, it's the one around the corner from my house.
No wonder they sell the fucking Jack. They still got the Jack 3D in there. It's just in a syringe.
And you got to fish it out of the bin.
Yeah, you got to find a couple of people for it.
That's my Jack. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
All right, well.
So yeah, you were walking home with your protein shake.
Yeah, and then I just kept going back, and then eventually I stopped training with him. Because where I went to high school, the Good Life that I met Reese at actually was across the road. So I ended up signing up there, trained with a different guy for a couple years. Then when I think I became a PT at that point, only out of the recommendation of the guy I was being coached by at the time. So then I started working at that Good Life. I got into PT. I left school. I just kept training, and then I met Reese. Reese has coached me now for 6-7 years. Yeah. Maybe. Quite a while.
Yeah.
Quite a long time. And then one-on-one life, all that kind of stuff, and then here I am doing podcasts.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's a better story than me getting into it.
What happened with you?
What happened with you? Well, I was always fat. Always fat in high school and in even primary school. I remember the first time I was called fat was... My friend from primary school had one of those 6-seater Falcon wagons. So like 2 seats in the back, 3 seats in the middle, and 2 at the back, so 7-seater.
Yeah.
And I went to get in the back seat, and he was like, "Oh, you got to be under 45 kilos to sit in the back." And I was like, "What? How do you know that I'm over 45 kilos?" I was like in grade 2.
Yeah.
So I'd been going through that since I was a little tack, and then I left high school when I graduated, all that kind of shit. And kind of just like spent time being self-conscious, and I was like, I got to do something about this. And then for some reason, I was just like, I'm going to join a gym. Like a family friend ran a gym, and we were like, oh, I'll just go down. I'll go. So it was an Anytime Fitness, and I joined. I walked in, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm benching 12 kilo dumbbells. Like I start from here, and then that was 10 years ago. So I just got into it from then. I followed a YouTube program, Buff Dudes. No, it wasn't a YouTube. It was a website, Buff Dudes. It was like chest.
Was it two brothers?
Yeah. It was like like
they both had long hair,
blonde long hair.
That's them.
Yeah, those guys got me jerked. No, so I followed that program, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And then there seems to be this blank period in my memory because all of a sudden I could lift weights. Like I was pulling up a 140 deadlift, and like I just went from there. I started training with one of my mates, and we just trained forever. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I got into the industry. So I kind of had a different journey to you, but talk to me about who you were. Like you got into it because you were overweight. Is that right? That seems to be a pretty...
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was overweight. That's probably a bit of an exaggeration. I was probably just self-conscious. As like I remember probably being about 14 and not wanting to go to like the pool or anything and take my shirt off. And at like 14, that's pretty fucked.
Yeah, for sure. There was no way I was taking my shirt off at the
No
way I was going to the pool. I wanted to play fucking Call of Booty back then.
I was a rashy guy wearing the rashy.
Oh man, fucking t-shirt at the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, just don't want to get sunburned.
That's what it is.
Nah,
yeah.
no
man,
way.
I'm just fat, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm
really.
just fat.
But yeah, for me, I think it was a bit of insecurity and self-consciousness about how I looked. Yeah. And then initially, I think it took me a bit of a hurdle to get to the gym. So I didn't really think about going to the gym. I think I was just like, had a treadmill at home. Yeah. I would just start walking on that and then start running and progressively run more and more and more. Right. Which it's weird to say that I've started by running.
A lot of people start there though. Yeah. Like a lot of people, do you reckon that's why it is? Because it's a low barrier of entry?
I think it's low barrier of entry, and then you don't, like, there's no one else there. There's no one like that might be anxiety. There's no one looking at you. Yeah. You can put it in the garage, you can put it in the spare bedroom, and it can just be you doing it. Like, I wouldn't run out in public now. No. Fuck no. I wouldn't run because I got bad knees.
Did you ever, did your parents ever walk in on you like trying to do push-ups and you got real embarrassed? Or was that just me?
No, I don't think so. I told my mum I was doing it.
Yeah.
Because like most people in my family are overweight.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Like mum, dad to an extent.
Yeah.
Grandparents not so much, mainly just my parents. So like I think again,
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Yeah. Sorry, mum. Sorry, dad. It's like I don't think they were ever a bad influence. It was like they like it's like, you know how this is when people say like the fat kids are the parents, it's the fault of the parents.
Yeah.
I think to an extent that's true.
Yeah.
Like my parents like fed me regular meals, like not like fucking chips and shit all the time. I would go home and I would sit on the Xbox. Like primary school, I lived less than 30 seconds from the school. You walk out my front gate and you could see the entrance to the school right there. So 30-second walk, get up at, I don't know, an hour and a half before school, sit on the Xbox, play COD, Black Ops. Then I would walk to school, come home. Hey, Mum, how was your day? Oh, yeah, it was good. All right, I'll talk to you later. Go upstairs, Xbox.
Yeah.
And then just like, oh, I could go for some Doritos right now.
Hell yeah, mine was barbecue shapes.
And they're in the cupboard downstairs. Maybe I can be a sweaty kid.
A sweaty fucking Cheeto dust on the controller.
And that's what I did. That's what I did. And I don't think that ever really stopped.
What are you doing later tonight?
I'm going home to play World of Warcraft. I'm still a sweaty nerd.
Yeah.
But I'm a sweaty nerd that's kind of learnt that you need to do other things.
You need to do
priorities need to shift.
Yeah.
So I think for me it was a lot of I don't know what the right word is, but like knowing the problem was there even at 14 and just I don't want to do anything about it. And then I think I don't know what the catalyst was to switch it, but I just switched it and just started running, started going to the gym every day.
That was like me. I flipped the switch. All of a sudden, there was this desire to be stronger, and like I needed to do something about it. Because in high school, I went through that as well. Like I came home, played video games, and then all of a sudden, I wanted to ride BMX bikes. Bought a bike, lost like 10 kilos within like 3 months, just because I was riding my bike. And like, I wasn't coming home and doing that same pattern. Coming home, video games, barbecue shapes, whatever mum cooked, and then a tub of ice cream afterwards. Like I was riding all day in after school, and then when I got home, I just would eat and I'd fall asleep.
Yeah, interesting. I think because it's like, especially when people are like overweight, I think everyone wants to change, but everyone has different things that they'll tolerate.
Yeah, and people get fucking bored.
Yeah.
Like, just that BMX example, I lost weight because I found something that was fucking enjoyable. And like, everyone seems to think that you need to be 100% disciplined with the gym in order to get a body that's admirable. Even like bodybuilding, yeah, sure, great. But like, if you just want to get in shape, you just need to find a physical activity that is enjoyable and monitor your food. Yeah. Like, that's all you need to do. Like, I literally say riding bikes was so like it changed my outlook on it, because I was like, oh, I want to be better at this, so I need to stop being a fat cunt. This, and it's the same thing now. Like I do jiu-jitsu. I want to be better at jiu-jitsu, so I'm gonna limit the amount of times I go through the Macca's drive-through.
Yeah, and
like,
the byproduct of that is you get fitter in the process.
Exactly, and it's not about like, I'm not trying to get fitter. I just want to win jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And when I was a teenager, I wanted to land a trick. I wanted to be able to ride a half pipe and not like run out of breath getting to the skate park, because I used to have to ride there. Like, that's, for me, it was never about getting fit. It was just about doing something I enjoyed and having it as a byproduct.
I think, yeah, you're right. Because now that I look at it, I don't think anyone's goal is to like lose 10 kilos. I think their goal is to, let's say, be more confident. And the key to being more confident is to lose 10 kilos. And
that confidence part, everyone, it's so different. Like, because confidence for you may be, I don't know. What does confidence look like to you? It's easy for you to...
I think it's a pretty simple one for me. It's just being comfortable taking my shirt off.
Yeah, and I think for most guys, they would fall into the same category. Like, I was the same. I still am the same. Like, we go through peaks and troughs of like being in shape, being out of shape, but build, cut, whatever you want to... whatever phase you're at, you can feel insecure. And getting to a point where you realize that, oh, it's confidence for some reason. I was listening to James Smith's new book, How to Be Confident, this morning, literally. And he's talking about how confidence isn't so much just like, I want to be confident. Yeah, that's not it's a different measurement for everyone. So for you, it was taking your shirt off, obviously at like a beach or something like that. most of the time it's so you can seem attractive to your partner, or if you were single, find a partner, or if you just wanted to look good in a mirror because you're sick of feeling like shit, and so you'll carry yourself differently. That's what like confidence is. And for me, it was very similar. So yeah, I forgot where I was going.
Something about confidence. We're talking about confidence.
I think people getting into training to be more confident, you don't need to get into a gym. Like, yeah, sure, it's a really easy way to like break the barrier of entry down, but you need to make it enjoyable. When I started training, I had no idea what I was doing, man. I was following a program. I was like, I just do this because I want to put on muscle. And it wasn't until like I actually started learning shit and like getting a coach and did it actually become enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because training now is very different to training when I first started. When I first started, I was like, I'm doing this for a goal and it's to be shredded. I had no idea what I was doing to get there. I had no idea what macros I needed to consume.
So you're saying training for you now is more fun?
Hell yeah, it is. Like training for me now is just a part of my life. Like it's gone past the discipline, the motivation. None of that ever comes into my field of view. Like it doesn't, because everything is a part of a bigger purpose, and that is to not get my ass handed to me when I go to jiu-jitsu. Like it's
a fair point. I think I'm a little bit different to where before I learned all this stuff, I think training was more fun because I could just do whatever the fuck I wanted and I didn't know, I was none the wiser.
Yeah.
Now training for me
Why do you think that is?
It's because it's just what I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's like I can go in and do 6 sets of bench press and just pyramid those reps up, do 8, 10, 12, 10, 8, all that shit.
1 rep max.
Exactly. I can do all that stuff. And that stuff was fun.
Yeah.
And it was a means to an end. It led to a result. But now I know, like, okay, that's shit. This is good.
Yeah.
Now it's more methodical. I still enjoy it, but I wouldn't say that I train for fun anymore.
Yeah. What do you train for?
Myself.
Yeah.
I think it's more just, it intrinsically rewards me when I feel like I've accomplished something. I've checked something off. Yeah. Now I do it to check a box off.
That's a big one.
It's just a thing I do. It's the thing I've done for the last 10 years. There are time periods where I'm more consistent with it. There are time periods where I might train twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Is there that element of competition, you reckon? Like having that, like, I'm in competition with myself and this is the one time of the day where I can get, like, physical, I can get competitive, and once I've, like... that box in the sheet has gone green, I know I've succeeded. Or if it's gone red, then maybe I do need to train more than twice in 2 weeks and pull my head back in.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever thought of it like that, honestly. I kind of just walk in and it's like, all right, well, this is the thing I've got to do today. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
There's people, like a lot of people get emotional while training.
Yeah.
I don't.
Neither do I.
I just...
I used to. I used to get that emotion. Like I'd be like, using like, I used to have a list, bro. I used to have a list of people that pissed me off and I'd use it for motivation for a set. And that's when I knew like I was training for other reasons, like mental health and all that kind of shit. But now it's not any like that. And I think training is important to get past that point because especially if you're using it as a mental health crutch, like a coping mechanism, what happens if you get injured?
Yeah.
What happens if you can't train? What happens if you don't have the ability to go to a gym like during COVID? Like all of that fell down for people. And I don't know, I might be coming off really ignorant to the fact that I've gotten past that. But I used to say that. I was like, gym is my therapy.
Yeah.
It's really not anymore. I learned how to deal with my emotions. Like
I think it could be a good outlet as like a stress reliever.
100%. Stress relief. For sure.
At the same time, I think it's hard for me to comment on the mental health side of things because I've never really gone through anything that's been mentally challenging for me.
Oh, you never know.
There's been days I've had anxiety, but there's never been really a time where I've ever had any kind of like depression or anything like that. So for me, I don't really comment on that kind of stuff because I've never really walked that walk. But at the same time, I was going to say something there, but I've totally forgotten what it was.
Have a sip of drink.
Something about something and something.
I'll chat shit for a while. Well, I kind of went through it. Kind of went up and down. I'm 20, not 28. Yeah, 28 years old. So I've been around the way since leaving high school, and there's been like I lost my stepdad and all this kind of stuff, and it was tough. Never to the point where I was medicated, and I probably owe that to the gym because I was heading down a path before I started training. I was just like going to follow the typical person from my area, which is like either go into a trade or just get a job and like become just a person who lived in Eltham. No hate on Eltham, sorry guys, but you've got actually, might I just say. No, it's just, it got to a point where if I'd continued the way I was going to become overweight and I was going to become like not content with my life and I would have been sad and I would have been a lot worse. And that's kind of like the point of getting into the gym for me was to look better, but it taught me that much more. Yeah. And I don't think, maybe you didn't have a life before. Like, not saying you didn't have a life.
I didn't have a life, definitely.
You didn't have
definitely didn't have a life.
You didn't have an experience as an adult without training?
No, not at all.
Which is probably a really good thing. Because like that consistent daily routine, structure, competition even, that is something that radiates into other parts of life. We were talking about this just before. We were talking about how you couldn't have a normal job, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's days where you don't want to like record a podcast. You don't want to film a podcast. He doesn't want to talk to me. But like the fact that you get up and you're like, this is what I have to do, you always get it done. Yeah. Like, because you've got deadlines and that kind of discipline comes from training. Yeah. And that's where like people who train be like, oh, the gym changed my life. And people who don't train are like, how did lifting weights change your life? And it's like, no, I showed up every day. I did something consistently throughout all of the inconsistent times of my life. And now I can do something without even blinking. It's just, I know I need to do it today. Yeah. And if I don't do it, things start to fall apart. So yeah, I think
that's a good point. I'm the least person to ask insightful things to because I never think of anything insightful.
There is a reason that I started talking about this because I think you do. I think especially in the podcast, the Lionstone Podcast, you don't talk enough. And now you've just had a full fucking conversation with me for the first time ever.
Oh, there we go. New breakthroughs in the Lionstone space. That's it.
All it took is a pair of pit vipers.
That's it. All it took was a pair of pit vipers.
Do you want to wear them?
No.
Oh, can you please put them on?
All right, I'll put them on.
Oh, God, it's so bright in here.
I was going to say,
there might be a little bit sweaty.
That's all right.
You look like you need to drive a truck. Why are you looking?
Jesus Christ.
You look fantastic.
All right, well, I can't really see much, but, are these like cycling glasses?
No, they're just like sick cunt glasses.
Well, that's me.
Do you know the story of like pit vipers?
No.
Oh, they were just like boat glasses that people would wear on a boat, and then the iconic kind of pit viper.
Oh, they look like fishing glasses. Yeah.
Yes. That's where I'm pretty sure
Channel
they started.
31.
Big Bass Saturday mornings. My dad used to watch those shows. He still does, actually. Yeah. Shout out Peter Lamborne. How's the fish? But yeah, like the consistent training and that part of your life is like, it gets to a point where it becomes easy. It becomes just a part of your lifestyle. And like, sure, there's days I can't be fucked, but like, I just know I will be better doing it. You're probably the same.
Yeah. I definitely am. There are definitely times though where I say the fuck it button and just don't do it. But I think there's value in that too, in terms of sometimes you just need to not.
At what point in time would you smash the fuck it button and say, I'm not going?
It's probably a bit of a cop out, but when I've got a lot to do, my priorities shift.
Yeah.
It's like the gym will always be there. Yeah. I can go back to it if I need to, but at the same time, like, I am comfortable taking a week off training if I've got a shitload of work to do. Yeah. I guess it's exactly the same priority shift as when I stopped fucking spending 13 hours a day playing video games.
When you come off that like week of work, do you find it hard to get back into the gym?
Yes and no. I think getting back into the training part is easier. Yeah. But I think the thing that fucks it for me is the food part.
Why do you find that hard?
Whenever this is a bit of a tangent, but whenever I do like a full day of work, let's say, I don't know, 9 till 7, whatever it might be, just crank it. I don't stop to eat.
Really?
No.
Right. No. Do you reckon it slows you down?
I just don't think about it. It's like it's like this
The
obsessive.
fat kid in me is like, how can we not think about food? At all times, I'm thinking about a McFluffy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't think I have. It's like this is like addictive personality. I don't think I have an addictive personality. I think I obsess over things. I'm very obsessive.
Gotcha.
Whenever I find something new that I really like I do that. And
You tunnel vision?
That's all I do.
Yeah.
So like when there's like a new project or something we're doing at work, and I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is what I'll do. I'll just sit there and just work.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll do, whatever it might be. And I'll just forget about eating. And then when I come back to like, okay, this week I've done all this work, let's kind of get back into a little bit of normality. Oh, fuck, I've got to go back to eating 4 or 5 meals a day.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll start that tomorrow.
You push that part back.
And then it becomes this vicious cycle of where it's like, all right, well, I'll just order some food and it is what it is. But
I actually think that's the reason I got so fat.
in what sense?
I just got so fat. So I got up to 132 kilos.
When was this?
In probably about 4 years ago.
Oh, okay, so this wasn't recent.
No.
I was going to say, fuck.
Before, I've got my phone here. I'll show you.
Send me those photos and I'll put them on the screen.
Yeah, I think it's on my time hop. I've got an image from 4 years ago. But I got so overweight because I was just training, but I was busy.
Yeah,
like I was busy and I would just eat whatever I like. Whenever I would just get my hands on food, I would just eat. But I thought I could just out train it.
Yeah, I don't
like
like that.
You what?
Unfortunately, my friend, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that. And I was stuck in that mindset for so long. I was just like, I'm just gonna eat and it's gonna be fine. And someday it'll work itself out and I'll somehow become lean.
Yeah, no.
Just never worked.
It's a crutch and an excuse though, because as much as we can sit here and say it, we both know that it's like there's always fucking time to do it.
Yeah.
And I hate when I hear people say it because I damn well know like it doesn't take that long to fucking put some, I don't know, chicken mince in a fucking pan
and just fry it off
and some rice, and then you've got a week's worth of meals. Like if you're that time poor,
you can kind of see me fatty there.
Jesus Christ, what a chunker.
That was 3 years ago as well. That wasn't even the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, I was fat, man.
That's fucked. But it's like it's if you're that fucking time poor to where you need like, oh, I'm just gonna eat whatever, just like then you're comfortable eating whatever.
Yeah.
Even if it's the blandest fucking food in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's not that hard to prep something in advance that you can take to work with you, even though you're busy. Like, there's always fucking 5 minutes to sit and eat a fucking meal. I'm swearing because it pisses me off.
Well, no, that's the thing, but that's true though. Like, if you've got time to eat, you've got time to cook at the same time.
I'm guilty of it too. That's the thing.
Oh man, I'm the worst. I'm like, oh man, I need to put away 6 hours on a Sunday for meal prep. I'm like, cool. I've got my 6 hours put away. It takes me fucking 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's
to cook 10 meals for the week.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah. Now I've got all this time free on a Sunday to be depressed, just like every other male. Do you get the Sunday woes? Do you hate Sunday evenings?
Well, I like my job, so Monday's not really that bad.
No, I love my job too. I just don't like Sundays.
Sundays don't.
I work on Sundays, bro.
Oh, actually, now that I think about it, it's like Sundays are the days where I don't do any work, so I can just pump WoW. For those who don't know what WoW is, it's World of Warcraft. Wow. I can just pump that and I'm like, oh, tomorrow I got to get up and go to work and I can't just play this all day.
Exactly.
It's okay. Yeah,
there's always something on a Sunday that's infinitely better than a Monday.
Yeah, I would agree. But I also need to pay rent, so working's important.
Yeah, man. You could.
What was I?
You could.
I could, or I could
or
just
you
live
could
out in the
play WoW.
That's it. I could just. I wouldn't have any internet connection, so I couldn't do anything. But
true. Down at the library, everyone log off. I got a raid.
Reese is probably going to be so mad that we start talking this, we go up on this tangent, but
he's milking a goat, man, and he's preparing for a marathon. He doesn't have time to worry about us. He's fine.
Like this is the the state of people can get degenerate playing WoW. Is that we played with this guy that he would we'd play with him, and all of a sudden he would just disconnect, and we're like, what the fuck? And we asked him, what's going on with your internet? He's like, oh, this is actually sad now that I think about it. He's like, oh, I'm living in my car and I'm playing out of Macca's Wi-Fi.
Holy shit! Really?
Really?
Man.
And I was like,
do you know, have you met him in person?
No. I don't think I've spoken to him a couple of times, and I was like,
man, that sucks. Well, this is...
Then we kicked him from the guild, so... Shit tank, mate, get out of here.
You calling him a tank because he's overweight?
No, that was his role, mate, but he didn't do very good.
Well, this is the thing, right? Esports... in itself have a massive focus on fitness now.
They do.
They have a massive focus on fitness.
They do.
So like if you look at any of the professional teams, whether it be like League of Legends, even StarCraft, I don't know how popular it is these days, but they all had training regimes. Like they would do like the week leading up to an event. They would be like, I remember one. It's a British team. I think it's British. Reckles. He played League of Legends. He's like, yeah, I go to the gym. I train. It gets me clear for the day. And it's something that I always come back to. I'm like, even in the times when they lose, when they win, having something to anchor them, like the gym, it makes sense. And that's what kind of like what you're talking about as well. There's something that you just do every day. There's a little task for you to do. It's pick up some circles and put down some circles, and I feel better from having accomplished it. Yeah. And I think this is such an underrated part of coaching, is getting people to realize that.
Yeah, you don't need to overcomplicate things. Like,
yeah,
we may have check-in systems and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like, just get up, do the thing again, and you will get an outcome. It's
literally just show up. Like, I've had clients where I've got them to that point where it's like, man, you're doing dumbbell lateral raises first, and last time you did them at the end of your workout. Doesn't matter. Go to the gym every single time you're meant to, and you're going to. You got sick of the pit vipers?
Oh, like I've just walked outside.
Give them back.
The power.
1 second, I'm just putting my glasses back on. Just take a pit stop, get it? Oh, now I feel sick again.
That's it. That's it. Back.
We're going so much faster. But yeah, there's clients that I've had where I get them to that point and they realize, they're like, oh, the changes come over time. All of these things come over time, and I'm that much better now in every facet of my life because I've simply just shown up. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what fucking variation of a raise you're doing. Just do it consistently. Everything works. Obviously, there's the optimal way of doing things, and it changes and all that kind of shit.
But nothing has to be optimal. It's like the whole riding the bike thing. Like, that probably wasn't the most optimal way for you to lose a bunch of weight, but it's the one you could stick to.
And it's the one that I enjoyed. Like, and there's the fucking recently you see the optimal lifters being like, the fucking, you need to lift in this plane of movement in order to. Well, okay, I can say that, and I can say you can lift in that plane of movement, and you need to get like a lat pull down bar, get the 2D handles, make sure the bench is set up on the correct angle. But my fucking client who works a 9 to 5 doesn't have time to set that up. He's got 40 minutes to train in the morning. Like, okay, maybe that would be optimal and he would get better results, but he's going to stick to that for a week, and he's like, Matt, it takes me an hour and a half to train in the morning.
Yeah. It's camp mentality.
It's
the camp mentality of like the people that are like, I just use the word nerdy, but like really like all the sciencey stuff, and like this is the way the muscle moves in this direction, and we need to train it this way for it to be the most optimal, which is great. But then there's also like, unless you're training a top tier bodybuilder, someone that like works a 9 to 5 may not really need to do everything from that bucket. Yeah. So it's like trying to find this amalgamation of the two. Yeah. That where it's like, cool, it's convenient for this person to go into the gym, because if it's not convenient, fair chance they're probably not going to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you need to be able to get them the result at the same time. I'm not saying just get them to do all the fluffy exercises. Please don't do that, because
the fluffy shit.
It'll probably work for you.
It will work, but like, you can get better bang for your buck in the time that you have. Yeah. So yeah, like speaking on that, there's times where I've programmed, like we iterate and we get better as coaches. There's times that I've programmed, I'm like, oh, you've got, I'm trying to think of a time, but anyway, there's been times where people have left out exercises, and I look at it, I'm like, why are you not completing your program? And it's like it's an a variation of a movement that's more optimal. Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, the gym's always busy at 6 p.m. when I go, and I have to wait there 45 minutes. And then by the time I get home, it's like 9 o'clock. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, but to me, it just looks like non-compliance. Yeah. And then when you have that conversation and you talk about it, you're like, oh, this actually doesn't fucking work for you. We need to change it. We need to change it to something that's more sustainable. And I've always said this, like, if you stick to something perfectly for 2 weeks, the most optimal program, you'll make 2 weeks of 100% progress. But on the third week, if a spanner gets thrown in the works, you're not going to follow it. Yeah. Versus if you stick to like a less optimal program for 12 weeks, you're going to see so much better results than if you just stuck to it for 2 weeks. And that can be diet, that can be training, that can be getting your steps, like all that kind of shit. 6,000 steps over 12 weeks is better than 10,000 steps for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like, it's the argument of most optimal versus easier, like most adherent.
Yeah, and it's just, I think this is where these days coaching gets a little bit skew with people wanting to be different by being 100% technical, and you're like, oh, this exercise is proven in the literature to be this and that and the other. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But who are you coaching?
Yeah. I said this to the other day. Like, I want to be the smart coach.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to be known as the smart coach. I want to be known as the coach that can help people.
Yeah.
But when they can see that the stuff I'm providing is going to help them. But when they actually get into the service, they're like, oh, cool. Like, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this and doing this and doing this. I'm not just like, you need to do this because it does this and this exercise trains it in this motion. It's like,
yeah,
no one gives a fuck.
That's all great. But like, people come to you for a reason. If they come to you and say, oh, I want to be trained and I want to understand exactly every single movement. Sure, you can mold to that and you can coach that person in that way. But for the most part, people come to us and they're like, I just want to be more confident.
Yeah,
they
want you to fix the problem.
Yeah, and what's the problem? Okay, you're overweight. Cool, we're going to focus more on food than we are training because that's going to be the vehicle to get you to your job.
Yeah.
Sorry, get you to you. That's going to do the job to get you to where you want to be. Training is really good for you. You're going to feel a lot better. You're going to have positive association with getting stronger, training for strength. You're going to realize that food is fuel. All that kind of stuff is going to happen in the process. But the end goal is you want to be more confident. You want to be able to take your shirt off at the beach. That's all we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Taking your shirt off at the beach, no one's going to care from that 1% extra lat growth you got from doing an optimal movement. Like, you're just going to rip your shirt off and be like, I feel so fucking good right now that I can be myself, and this is the version of me that I know I could have achieved.
That's exactly it.
Man, it feels good to get that off my chest. my non-suboptimal chest. But that's the thing, man. You just got to figure that balance out and find that happy medium for people because at the end of the day, it's just about what people want.
Yeah.
And like, you see, like, coaching and all that kind of shit, it gets in the way. Sometimes it can get in the way. A good program can get in the way of results, which is crazy.
Well, a good program, as in like the best program on paper.
An optimal program can get in the way of results. Because if you were to train someone like me who's heavy into BJJ, like a bodybuilder, I'm going to be like walking into my jiu-jitsu and feeling like shit.
Yeah.
Not being able to perform, get dejected and be like, okay, what's the issue? Gym.
Yeah.
And then never stick to the plan.
Yeah.
However, if I have a performance program where I'm like, okay, this is directly contributing and I can recover in time to go to then jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do it. It's just that understanding and being flexible of what actually someone wants.
That's correct. That's true. So in terms of let's go back to the topic of how the gym helped us. What do you think was one of the biggest lessons you learned from the gym?
Ooh.
That impacted you, not just in weight loss, but in terms of life? I think mine was definitely consistency.
Yeah.
And just being able to show up for something.
Yeah.
Because I think that has helped me, in work, whatever it might be. Even actually, probably, I take that back. The biggest one is confidence.
Yeah.
Because if you met me 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago, totally different person.
Yeah.
Reese will back this up. Is when I first started working at Good Life, or even just at Good Life. When I first met him, he doesn't remember the first time I met him, but as a trainer. I remember it clear as day.
Yeah.
The fucking the FD at the time was like, there's not really much you can do. I'll just go out and shadow Reese. So I just walked up to him like, hi Reese. And he's like, hey mate. And I'm like, I just need to shadow you for a bit. That's what Ben said. And he's like, cool. And then I just stood there.
You just watched him?
Just watched, didn't ask any questions, didn't ask anything, wouldn't say anything. And now I just get on the phone to people and just chat to people all the time. My ability to have communication with people has improved tenfold.
You're on a podcast hosting it.
Yeah, I would not have done this 5-6 years ago at all. I wouldn't have spoken. I wouldn't have done anything. So my ability to be confident and actually project what I want to say now.
Yeah.
Tenfold.
Be confident in your opinion as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, the biggest thing that gym taught me is that if you show up and you try, you will get a result.
Yeah.
And that's infinitely better than not trying. So the times that I've stepped up to a barbell to do a deadlift and try and PB, more times than I can count. The amount of times it's come off the floor and I've secured a PB, I'm going to say probably 10 times. In 10 years of training, I've probably hit 10 notable PBs. There is probably hundreds of attempts in there where I know that I'm trying. One day that weight will come off the floor.
Yeah.
And especially when I first moved to Queensland, I was stuck on 260, right? I couldn't deadlift over 260 kilos. And it was through COVID, all that kind of stuff, I trained for 8 months to beat that PB. The first time I when I moved to Queensland, I walked into a new gym, stepped up to the bar, and I was like, today's the day. I'm gonna do it. I've made so many mistakes. I've failed so much to get here. If I show up today, there's a very good chance it's gonna go up, and it did. Yeah. And like for me, after I hit that PB, I left the gym. I called my mum and cried.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, Mum, I did it. I finally got past it. She's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, man, I'm proud of me too, because I was never the kid who stuck to anything.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't stick to BMX. I did for 6 months. Like, yeah, it was fun, and I got bored. But like for me, I needed that consistent failure, and it wasn't failure in a sense that I lost. It was just like not even setback. It was just like attempt. And through that, I built up the confidence to then step up to a 265, pull it clean, relatively, a little bit of spinal flexion, and pull it and say, I confidently like knew when I stepped up to the plate that could go up because I'd lost so many times before that. And that's where confidence comes from, making enough mistakes that eventually you get it, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that was the biggest lesson, is that I can show up and make mistake after mistake after mistake, fail. And so long as I just keep trying and like putting one foot in front of the other, which is so fucking cliche, but you don't understand it until you actually do it. And now, being a white belt in jiu-jitsu, I apply the same thing. Man, I'm going to get submitted by, there's this girl at jiu-jitsu, right? She's fucking 50 kilos.
Yeah, but she fucks you up.
I'm 100 kilos. Yeah. And we were rolling the other day, and she submitted me 5 times within the first minute or something ridiculous. And I didn't even know what happened. I was like, oh, I need to be gentle because it's like I'm a big person. They're a small person. I didn't need to be gentle. I needed to be careful. Man, I didn't realize. And all of a sudden I had to tap. And I was like, well, what the fuck just happened there? And she's like, oh, I got you in a triangle, but I was in this position. And I was like, man, how'd
that even happen?
How did you do that? Yeah. And that's the same thing with like deadlifting. When I first walked into a gym and saw someone deadlift Darren in Thomastown, saw someone deadlift like 200 kilos, I was like, how the fuck did he do that?
Yeah.
Like he's not that much bigger than me. I realized that my technique was shit. and I needed to get more reps in. And that's where like getting reps in carries over. And for me, that was the biggest lesson. And that's where like I apply that to every part of life. And like there's times where I fuck up and I forget that. Business, or like in the past, all that kind of stuff. With the straps business, like I'll draw something and it's shit, and I'm like, well, fuck, the whole world's gonna end.
Yeah.
And then I was like, the next day I roll up and I'm like, okay, let's just try again. And then eventually it pays off. And then you walk into a gym and you have the confidence. You walk into, I haven't experienced it yet, but you walk onto a jiu-jitsu mat and you have confidence because you know that you've done the work. For me, gym taught me how to do the work.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was about to add. Is it's like it taught me to actually follow through and put effort into something. Because prior to that, like the thing I could have put effort into was schooling, right? Even though I didn't finish it, I didn't put any fucking effort in.
Neither did I.
No, I would like.
Sorry, mum and dad. Neither did I. I'd put effort into COD.
I'd leave everything to the last minute. I still did well.
6 prestige, motherfucker.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, tell me.
So it's like. I think I would leave everything to the last minute because I know I could do it. And I was like, well, I don't need to fucking put any effort in because I can just go do the thing.
Good enough is.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like I remember we had like our exams, like the year 10 and 11 ones, and I was like, I didn't study for any of this shit, so I just put the names of the Wiggles down. That was my answer. And then I slapped a kid on the back of the head and got kicked out because it was funny. So like I didn't put any effort in. But I think now it teaches me to apply myself to stuff and actually follow through, which is why I fucking put so much effort into this stuff.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's like trying to make the podcast look as good as possible, which is one thing I'm responsible for.
Yeah, man, I was the same. Like I at school, I would like not proofread anything because like if in my mind, if I wrote an essay and I proofread it, then I could find the mistakes. It was easy for me to just write it and submit it and be like, cool, whatever happens. I don't want to look at my failures. And that was like where that mindset kind of got reset for me through gym was that I, instead of like not proofreading anymore, I filmed my sets.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe I do actually want to get better. And then in the last 5 years, like I've applied this to my own life. Man, writing social media posts. Like I used to just post and ghost and just like, whatever. And I wouldn't reread them. And my partner, Emily, she was like, this doesn't make sense. And I was like, I had to confront that. And I was like, well, who am I to like preach this if I don't practice it everywhere and just get a little bit better every time? And for me, that was just game changer. And like, if I carry that through the rest of my life, then I know I'm going to succeed in what I do eventually. Yeah. If I'm willing to put the time and the effort in, and it'll come. Yeah.
There's lots to be learned in failure. We're very big on it here, like especially Reese and I. As soon as something like, I don't want to say failure, but like fuck up or could do something better, we just call each other out on it straight away. Yeah. It's like, dude, you could have edited that podcast better. Like, I fucking put a lot of effort into it, but it's like, I look back, I get pissy, and then I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Probably could.
Even the lights when we were setting this up, like it's always been the white lights, and I was just like, maybe we'd do the yellow ones, and now we look fucking fantastic. We look fantastic. But that's the thing, that incremental improvement is not taught in school. It's not taught in like, it's taught in sport. Like, just get a little bit better. But even then in sport, when I was playing as a kid, I didn't understand that at all. I didn't realize you could just get a little bit better. I thought I needed to score a goal every single time I played football. Yeah. And that's what I would aim for. And when I didn't, I would get really upset.
I can't remember the book it's in, but it's like you just try and get 1% better every day.
Yeah, but even then, sometimes it's 0.1%.
Yeah, tiny amounts. That's huge.
Tiny amounts. And yeah, I feel like that, for me, that's the biggest thing that I took away from the gym. And that's the biggest thing that I still do. Like, because I can still get better at the gym. Like, performance training, I haven't done it before.
It's a whole new kettle of fish.
It's a whole new kettle of fish. And I need to just get a little bit better at it. And if you can do that, then, man, you can do anything. Like, you just need to put the time in and figure out how to fucking do it.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Man, this is fun.
That was a good episode.
This is a good episode. Yeah, and it's I think important for us to talk about this kind of shit, because you can talk about, as I said, programming, all that kind of stuff, but talking about like what does a gym actually do for people to someone who hasn't got into it and is like
on the edge.
Just show up. Just go once.
Yeah.
Just go once.
Go once.
You want to wrap this shit up?
That's it.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. If you found value in the episode, please make sure you share it. Subscribe on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It only takes like less than 30 seconds. You just click the button, click the 5 stars. Don't click anything less than that, to be honest with you. It's not worth your time. Click the 5 stars. Do that. Like the video. Comment on the video. That's everything, right?
If you found this valuable, take a screenshot of my pit vipers and send them to your mum.
You could say, I'd say send them to Reese, but he'll fucking punch me if people start sending pit vipers to him.
Man, everyone, if you
wink, wink,
send him pit vipers.
Tell him to buy me a pair.
Oh, that would be sick.
He's gonna listen to this in his car and he's gonna fucking call me. He's like, why the fuck are you talking about pit vipers?
All right, let's wrap this shit up.
Right, see you guys.
Press the button, Pat. Button there we go.
No, that's not it. That's not it. No.
Nah.